Hey there, welcome back. Today we are talking about how Americans build their political beliefs. In this lesson, we are actually covering 4 topics for AP Government. We are going to be covering the topic 4.1, which is American attitudes about government and politics, 4.2, political socialization, 4.3, changes in ideology, and 4.4, the influence of political events on ideology. So let's go ahead and get started. In this lesson, we're going to learn how Americans come to believe what they do about politics. So first off, let's talk about what it is that you believe. What you believe comes down to this idea of core values. Core values are a basic set of beliefs about the roles of government, social groups, and individuals in society. You'll notice in the image here on the screen that there are different aspects to core values that include things like public safety, the legal system, welfare, education, and goods and services. All of those things are a part of your core beliefs. One of the basic foundations on core beliefs is what you believe about individualism versus collectivism. Individualism is the belief that individuals should be left on their own by the government. That, we're going to raise ourselves up by our bootstraps. We're going to, do or die. We're going to do it on our own. Collectivism, on the other hand, is allowing people to rely on the government to do more things as a collective group. Some other ideals that affect our core beliefs are how you think about things like free enterprise, rule of law, and limited government. So let's just briefly define each of those. Limited government, as you'll remember, is the idea that government should be limited by our individual rights and freedoms. The government can't trample on our individual rights. Rule of law is the belief that everyone, including members of the government, are accountable to the laws that they make. And free enterprise is an economy based on the idea that government should not interfere with economic transactions. How you think about each of those things affects your core beliefs. The last thing that we're going to talk about that affect your core beliefs is how you equate equality of opportunity and equality of outcome, where you think on the spectrum we should sit. Equality of opportunity is the idea that each person has the same chance to succeed. This emphasizes personal achievement and competition. It's the idea that everybody's going to start off on the same equal playing field. That if the government is going to provide something for one person, that they should provide it for everybody, or not provide anything at all. Equality of outcome, on the other hand, says that in order for each person to be equal, the government must redistribute resources to ensure that equality, whether it's economic or social equality. So take a look at the image on the slide. On the left-hand side, you'll see that the children each have a box, that they all have the same opportunity to witness the soccer game, but they don't all actually get to witness the soccer game because they're all standing on the same box, but they don't necessarily all need that same box. Equality of outcome, on the other hand, is shown on the right side of the screen, where you have each of the children is actually getting to see the soccer game, but the shortest child, all the way over on the right-hand side, has been given 2 boxes, while the child all the way on the left-hand side has been given none. Really, it can kind of come down to the idea that equality of opportunity means to be given equality at the start, whereas equality of outcome is to make sure that everybody ends up in the same place. So this is just a bit of a sidetrack. Here's that same image, but we've added a new element. Here you've got equality versus equity versus justice. Equality is the assumption that everyone benefits from the same supports. Equity is the idea that everybody gets the supports that they need. Right? Remember, this is the basis for affirmative action that we talked about in the last unit. Justice, on the other hand, say that all three can see the game without supports or accommodations because the cause of the inequality was addressed. The systemic barrier was removed from the equation. Now let's go on to how we actually learn our beliefs. Where do those beliefs come from? Do they just come out of thin air? Well, no, they don't just come out of thin air. The process by which personal and other background traits influence your views about politics and government is called political socialization. There are 5 main factors to political socialization. They are family, school or education, peers, the media, and social environments, in that order. However, when we start talking about social media, some of the lines between those factors can get pretty blurred. U.S. political culture is both influenced by and influences the value of other countries as a part of globalization. The idea that we are all part of one globe, and the fact that we are able to communicate more and more easily with other countries and with people in other countries. So there are 2 examples here that I've given you on the slide. The first on the right-hand side is a picture of Black Lives Matter protests throughout the world in 2020. These protests started in the United States. But United States political culture influenced these other countries, and people began taking to the streets in countries around the world for Black Lives Matter. U.S. culture has also been influenced by other countries. On the left-hand side, you can see a K-pop band. In the fall of 2020, K-pop fans actually were able to disrupt the amount of people who attended a Donald Trump rally by trying to get all the tickets. So K-pop fans actually went through and requested all of the tickets. And so not very many people actually showed up to the Donald Trump rally in Oklahoma City. So there was an example of other countries actually influencing our political culture pretty directly. So now let's talk about what are some other things that can actually affect our beliefs. The first thing that we're going to talk about are generational effects, and these are the values and beliefs of an entire generation. This is everybody that's kind of born around the same time that you are. While no generation believes just one thing, there do tend to be similarities within each generation. This chart from 2017 shows that millennials, or people born from about 1982 to about 1999 or so, tend to have more liberal views, while the silent generation, or the generation between those that fought in World War II and the baby boomers, tend to be the most conservative. The next thing we're going to talk about are life cycle effects. These are changes over the course of an individual's lifetime which affect their political attitudes and participation. As individuals develop from being young people to adults and then senior citizens, their concerns and values change. The things that are important to you as a college student are not the same things that are important to you as someone in their mid-30s or someone in their early 60s or someone in their 80s. Throughout your life, there's going to be different things that are important to you. So for example, someone in their early 20s or mid-20s might be really concerned about student loan debt. And the idea of having a political actor say that they're going to forgive student loan debt might be very important to that person. Whereas somebody in their early 50s or mid 50s is going to be more concerned about saving for retirement. And so a political candidate saying that they are going to reduce taxes on savings and 401ks is going to be more appealing to somebody in their mid 50s. The last thing that we are going to look at that affect political beliefs are period effects. These are major events and social trends that affect the political attitudes of the entire population. So these are big, major historic events that happen that change entire populations. If you look on the slide, you can see that there are several examples that I've given here. And these examples we're going to talk more about in class in particular. But some of the big events that have affected political ideologies include the stock market crash and Great Depression, Pearl Harbor in World War II, the JFK assassination, the assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert Kennedy, the Watergate scandal and Nixon's resignation, 9/11 attacks and the War on Terror. And honestly, in 2019 and in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic is likely to be a period effect. We just don't know yet what effect it is going to have on political ideology. In this lesson, you learned how Americans come to believe what they do about politics. If there's anything that you missed, please go back now and re-watch that portion of the video if you need to. Then make sure that you answer the summarizing question in your notes so that you can get a stamp when we're in class. All right, we'll see you later. Bye.